Well, thank you all very much for, and Lucas especially, for inviting me to come speak to you all today. That video is one of a number of videos that I've done over the years at Texas Roadhouse, and we do them every year. We have an annual conference every year. This year it's in Phoenix, and we've had it in Amelia Island, we've had it in Hawaii twice, Cabo, lots of great places. And we bring all the folks that run our restaurants and spouses. In our company, Lucas talked about the people in our company that are so important. Spouses are so important in the restaurant business because the hours that we work, and you got to have great spouse support to make it work. But our conferences are all about celebrating our people, recognizing our people, thanking our people, and we make a bunch of crazy videos. We did a Back to the Future video, Kent and I, a few years ago. I was Marty McFly, and Kent was the crazy doctor, travels through time. We've done Wayne's World. It was Scott's World, if you've seen that movie. So we like to have a lot of fun at Texas Roadhouse, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. See if I can get this working. Oh, wait, I got to turn it on. I got it. Okay. So the first thing I got to show you is all the government regulations that we have to deal with all the time at Texas Roadhouse. No, I'm just kidding. But this is our safe harbor statement. And typically when we present to people, and we talk about any future things that might happen in our business, we've got to show you all this language that basically says it might not happen. So that kind of gets us off the hook, if you will. So it's a nice long paragraph there. Okay, so Texas Roadhouse, I think most people in this room know that our company was founded by Kent Taylor. Lucas talked about Kent. The one thing I wanted to show you here, and the biggest thing about Kent is the guy is tenacious. He's persevered like almost nobody else that I know. And you can see here a little bit of the history before the company even got founded. 200 times he got rejected asking for money over almost 10 years. So this is almost one of the most important things in our history because Kent is still very much in the game today. He's as tenacious as ever. He's as competitive as ever. He perseveres like I've never seen him before. And I'll talk a little bit about that and how that relates to our business today. So our history, sort of after Kent, got the money and got this thing off the ground. First restaurant opened 1993, Clarksville, Indiana. Still open, still green on the outside. We have no other restaurant that looks like Clarksville. Okay. In 1997, actually 3 of the first 5 restaurants closed in Texas Roadhouse. So Kent opened 1 in Clarksville, 1 in Gainesville, Florida. Then he opened 2 in Florida and one in Cincinnati. And those 3 restaurants failed. Okay, mostly because Kent made some bad real estate decisions back in the day, and he really started learning about real estate and how important it was to the restaurant business. He kind of had the operation side, that was a lot of his background, but he learned that real estate piece, and to this day, Kent has visited and approved every single Texas Roadhouse restaurant that's ever opened anywhere in the world, and he continues to do that to this day. So he did a private placement in 97, raised a few $1 million to help the company build some more company-owned restaurants. By 2001, we had our 100th opening. 2004, we went public. Okay, went public. Great experience. I've been at the company almost 13 years now. I was part of that group. I was a CFO back then. It was just an incredible adventure to be a part of that process and realize the dream for a lot of people, whether it was some of the original investors who took a big risk on Kent back in the day. They had a really good payout when we went public, including Kent himself. And in 2013, we passed our 400th opening, and we ended the year in 2014. I think we're 451 restaurants now in Texas Roadhouse. So the last time we showed this slide was at the end of our third quarter. We were up to 441 restaurants plus 9 outside the United States. So you can see here, we're in 49 states. Right now, the only state we're not in is in Hawaii. We opened 2 stores in Anchorage, Alaska this year. Okay, we are doing huge sales in Anchorage. Very cool to see that. It did cost us $1 gazillion to open, to build a store in Anchorage. When you build a store in Anchorage, the ground freezes so far down, you got to dig really far down to put all your water pipes and stuff like that, things you learn, when you build unusual places. But no plans to go to Hawaii at this time. You see 9 international stores. Most of those are in the Middle East, doing really well, and I'll talk a little bit more about international later. Texas, 56 restaurants. That's our biggest state that we have. Certainly it helps that Texas has a very strong economy and has for a long time. But you can see we've got a number of other states, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida now. We have 20 restaurants in Florida, Colorado, 14 restaurants. So we're pretty spread out as a company, and we're successful all over the United States. We've got super high volume stores all over the United States. We feel very, very fortunate where we're at today. So the heart of our company is around our mission statement and the values that we live by. So our mission statement, and this is one of the places where Kent, and if you know Kent, he's a pretty crazy guy. Okay, actually, he's a very crazy guy. Okay, but he really is a brilliant guy. And one of the things he did, he came up with a mission statement that's 4 words. And 2 of them are the same. Okay, 2 of them are the same. Everybody in our company knows what the mission statement is. And it's so simple. It's so simple, and it creates an enormous amount of focus about what we're all here to do. That's to make sure we give our guests legendary food and legendary service. And there's another part, as Lucas mentioned, through legendary people. And I'm going to talk more about that and how we manage each other. Part of that's through our core values. Our core values are a lot about how we behave with each other, how we behave with our communities, our guests. Okay, we want passionate people. We're in the hospitality business. Partnership is one of our foundational elements, and I'll talk about that. Integrity, do what you say you're going to do. Be honest in the way you treat people. And then fun, and fun is one of the biggest elements of Texas Roadhouse. So when we talk to people kind of outside of Louisville, because most of you all know who we are, we say, hey, we're a casual first full service concept. Some people don't know that about us. We are 45% steak. We are very heavy on steak. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about beef inflation later on and show you why that's so important right now. But folks love our steak. Our product mix, I've been there almost 13 years, hasn't changed a whole lot. 13 years. We've added a few items to the menu. We've taken a few off. But it really hasn't changed much in the way that we're still 45% steak. We do sell ribs. We sell chicken. We sell pork. We sell seafood. We've got great salad selection and so forth. Part of what we sell is energy and a fun atmosphere. So we got recognized, I should say unrecognized, by a publication that says that we're the loudest restaurant around, okay? And a lot of people don't want to go to a loud restaurant, okay? But we like it loud. A lot of people do want to come somewhere where it's a little bit loud. It's like you're having a good time. It's fun. It adds to that getting away from life's problems. That's why we kind of have the music turned up a little bit loud in our restaurants, and we'll continue to do that. Fun atmosphere, part of that's having friendly people. Okay, friendliness is a big part of our culture. Our average unit volumes are $4 million. What does that mean? Okay, actually they're closer to $4.5 million now. What does that mean? Well, we're closer to 4.5. Outback, it used to be the big, number one. They're around 3 million. We used to be, 10 years ago, we were 3.3 million. Outback was 3.3 million. Now we're 4.5 million. We're 4.5 million. They're closer to 3 million. Okay, it's been an incredible run for us the last, 10, 12 years in the business. And I'm going to talk about why some of that has happened. One of those things is the way we operate. And we kind of go with an upside-down pyramid concept where you got executive, management on the bottom there, including Kent. But in the middle, we have a term called managing partners. And managing partners at Texas Roadhouse, they're the single restaurant operators. Some concepts are called GMs. We don't call them GMs. We call them managing partners. They're partners with us. They share in the profits of their restaurants. But you can see they're in the center of the universe because that's where really the success happens at Texas Roadhouse. It happens at the restaurant level. It doesn't happen in our support center. It doesn't happen in my office. It happens at our restaurant. And our managing partners, they really control what happens. I mean, they're doing the hiring, they're responsible for making the food, they're responsible for serving it, they're responsible for interacting with the community. They have a lot of freedom to make a lot of decisions. It's one thing about Kent. You know, he developed the concept, but he gave people a lot of freedom to make a lot of decisions about how each restaurant's run. It's a very powerful tool in motivating our people and treating them like owners in their restaurants. So I talked about partnership, and so a managing partner, that deposit, they pay us $25,000 to come work for us. That's a lot of money, these folks. They pay us $25,000 to come work for us. We give them a 5-year contract. We're very long term. We say, we're going to sign you up for 5 years, and then it renews after that. We have many managing partners who are long past 10 years with us, running restaurants for us. They get paid a salary, and they get paid 10% of the bottom line. The average cash compensation was above $105,000 plus stock. So they're about $120,000 when you throw some stock in there right now. That's very lucrative for somebody running a restaurant. And those numbers have been going up over time. And what do we get for that? We have very low turnover. Huge deal in the restaurant industry. We get quality, experienced managing partners. Okay, experienced managing partners. There's a way people want to join Texas Roadhouse because of this model, because they get treated like owners, like partners. And so our mission statement, you know, it starts with the people. In our case, managing partners. Then you have legendary food. What does that mean at Texas Roadhouse? Well, it means we make all of our food from scratch. You know, the steaks are hand cut every day in our restaurants. All the sides, green beans, you know, our fresh baked bread, everything is made from scratch. There is an incredible amount of production that goes on in our kitchens. You would be amazed at how many people we have in our kitchens, how detailed our recipes are. Okay, they are extremely detailed. We're very strong on the food side. And you get a great deal at Texas Roadhouse. So if you buy our 6-ounce sirloin, you get 2 sides, and those sides include a salad and baked potato. Those are 2 major sides, okay, that you can get at Texas Roadhouse, plus bread and the peanuts, all for less than $10. That's very powerful. You can't go anywhere else and get that kind of deal. You might be able to get a deal for $9.99, but it won't come with the salad. You have to pay up for the salad. I'll be $2 or $3 or something. So it's a very strong value and very high quality food that we're selling. On the service side, the other half, our mission statement, okay, high touch and 3 table stations. Those are 2 very meaningful terms for us. 3 table stations means our servers can only take care of 3 tables at a time. A lot of concepts, a lot of restaurants, this server that's waiting on you, they may have 4, 5, 6 other tables that they're waiting on. Okay, we only let them take care of 3 tables. That means your order's you're going to get greeted fast, your order's going to get taken fast, your food's going to get run to you fast, you're going to get your check fast. And they're going to have time to have a conversation with you if you want to have a conversation. You know, and we spend a lot of money on that part of the business. You have to make an investment to have that many servers on the floor. Okay, you have to make an investment, and we make bets every day by investing in the number of people that we have on the service end that we're going to develop a good reputation. Probably the number one thing that I hear from people that come to me and say, hey, I was in your restaurant, was how friendly the people were. How friendly the people were. And we are in the hospitality business. And I will say, well, how was the food? And they'll say, oh, it was great. You know, food was great. You know, but this whole friendliness piece is a huge advantage for us. A lot of restaurant companies are going the exact opposite direction. Okay, every time minimum wage goes up or you have to, pay more for health care, they're pulling more servers off the floor. They're pulling buses off the floor. You know, we haven't touched our labor. Matter of fact, we don't even have an official labor model at Texas Roadhouse. Doesn't exist. It's very unusual in the restaurant business. We let our partners kind of figure that stuff out for them. So one thing that we're very different on than a typical restaurant company is how we market our business. And we do our marketing through operations. And most of us believe that are in this business that operations is the best marketing you're ever going to have. It's what you do in your restaurants, how you treat your guests is really what counts. Word of mouth is the best marketing. And so typical restaurant company spends 2 to 4% of their sales on marketing, buying commercials on television, would be the biggest thing. We spend over there on the right, not 2 to 4%, but 0.3%. Okay? Mostly on our gift card program. We have a national gift card program, and we kind of step it up in November, December. But you can see, instead of spending that 2 to 4%, what do? We have more employees waiting on you on the service side. We have more invested in scratch-based food on the food quality side. We give you all the peanuts and bread you can possibly eat, okay? And we have very aggressive pricing. Very aggressive pricing on our menu. We think that's the best way to advertise our business. And so some of our results, so comparable sales growth, that's a term that's probably the most important or number one term in the restaurant industry. Comparable sales just says, take a group of stores from, let's say, 2013, and how much did their sales grow in 2014? The same group of stores, okay? Comparable. They're comparable to each other. And you can see for the last 5 years, we've had sales growth, okay? And that's somewhat unusual in the casual dining industry, especially with so many of the fast casual players like the Qdobas, the Chipotles. There's Five Guys. There's a lot of concepts on that fast casual area that are growing really fast, and some of the casual diners have taken a big hit on their sales. We're one of the few that have been able to grow sales every year. So that's been a great trend for us. So today, if you've ever been to Jeff Ruby's, many of you probably have, if you're on your way, I think it's to the men's restroom, they kind of have this, actually, magazine cover up there. And this is from a Life magazine in 1972. I actually ordered a copy of it. Okay, I have the whole magazine in my office. And at the top, you may not be able to read it, but it says, well, you see it on the front cover, sky-high meat prices. And it says, outrage at the checkout counter. Who gets all that money for beef? You know, how a family copes with food bills, right? 43 years ago. Today, we've got this similar thing going on, okay? Started with, kind of with ethanol policy. For many years, corn in this country used to sell for like $2.50 a bushel. And for many years, okay? And one reason why corn prices didn't go up, because our farmers continued to expand the yields. So they used to get 100 bushels an acre of corn. They got up to like 150 bushels an acre of corn. And so the price was $2.50. Ethanol policy gets passed, which basically says we have to produce a certain amount of ethanol from corn. So a lot of the corn supply, upwards of 40%, went to go produce ethanol, went away from feeding cattle and other livestock. Price of corn went from $2.50 up to $6, $6.50. And you have drought. Throw a drought on top of that. Corn just a couple years ago was $8 a bushel. So it used to be $2.50, $8 a bushel. When you got ranchers seeing corn at $8.50 a bushel, what do? They slaughter their cattle. They send them to market. So we've had a huge decline in the supply of cattle. Okay, and it's like at 50-year lows right now, supply of cattle. Less supply of something, price goes up. So the price of cattle since 5 or 6 years ago is up 60 or 70% per pound from where it was. So we've been living in, so even though we've had pretty good sales, we've been dealing with this onslaught of beef inflation. Okay? And people will say, talk about, minimum wage in our business, you'll hear that, talk about health care in our business. Those things are nothing compared to that. They're nothing. 45% of what we sell is steak. When the price of that commodity goes up, 60, 70% over a 4 or 5 year period, that is a many, many $1 million number. So that's really our biggest challenge right now in our business. We've got great sales momentum. We're opening stores. We've got great people. The beef market is our biggest challenge. Corn prices have since come down. They're back around $4 a bushel. They probably won't ever get back to $2.50 a bushel. And certainly lower oil will help eventually. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that over time these ranchers start producing more cattle. The reproductive timeline for producing cattle, you're talking 3 years, really, whereas hogs and chickens, you're talking 6 weeks. It's a much different life cycle for certain animals. So We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We're hoping, maybe 2016, maybe 17, we get a little bit of relief in these beef markets. But while this stuff is going on, the things we talk about are, let's make sure we're protecting our business. Let's make sure we're still giving our guests heaping size. Let's make sure we're still cutting our steaks right. Let's make sure we're not pulling back from any of our labor that we're running in our restaurants. Okay, which a lot of restaurant companies, again, when they deal with stuff like this, your steaks start getting smaller and thinner and more expensive. And we're trying to avoid all those things. Sometimes we actually go a little bit backwards in profitability dealing with this stuff. So we can maybe go forward in the future. We take a very, very long-term approach to our business, and stock price goes where it goes. But we think long-term everything will work out. So what are we doing? We've got real high beef prices. Hey, we just want to execute better and better. We get very good consumer ratings on our business, but we still get calls every day from people that share with us that we weren't perfect yesterday. Okay, every day. So we know we can continue to improve. We always talk about being fast and friendly in our business. A lot of our marketing that we do is local store, on the ground, guerrilla type marketing. We love going to different businesses throughout our communities and kind of bringing you some of our bread, maybe some of our ribs, and saying, hey, don't know if you know us, but we're Texas Roadhouse. We're kind of like down the street. Our food's pretty good. Here's a sample of it. Maybe you come give us a try. Okay, we like shaking hands with people and looking at people, in the eye, getting to know people's names. That's what we like to do from our marketing program. And one thing we've been doing, which has been pretty successful for us, is we've been adding seats to a lot of our restaurants. We're so busy. We have such long waits that we've been bumping out, is what we call it, many of our restaurants. We've done it here locally, here in Louisville, and adding seats just so we can see more of you in our restaurant. Now, there's a limit of how many seats we can add before the kitchen people say, no more, okay? You're hurting us here. But adding seats has been one of those ways that we've been able to deal with some inflation. So we lose a little bit on our margins, but we get it back by having more people come into our restaurant. Throughout Texas Roadhouse, throughout our history, fun has been a huge element of our success. So we believe that if our employees are having fun, they're going to enjoy their jobs more. And if they enjoy their jobs more, they're going to be a lot friendlier to you. And they're going to give you much better service. It's sort of as simple as that. We take the same approach at our support center here in Louisville. As a matter of fact, Lisa just showed me a picture today. We got a ping pong tournament going on this morning. And we got people dressed up in all sorts of crazy characters in a little ping pong tournament. But we're always doing fun stuff. Even when, if Louisville's playing, Kentucky and basketball, I may go get a couple hundred red and blue cupcakes or cookies and go walk around myself and give them out to people. Hey, are you blue or are you red? We may dress up for St. Patty's Day and everybody wear green. We're always doing things. All of our departments go out on outings and do some fun things, kind of kick back a little bit. All of our people in our stores do outings. And they go fun places to kick back a little bit. We're in a tough business. It's sort of a 24/7 business. And so we encourage our people to spend the money and have some fun and kind of kick back and even grow closer as a team. We really continue to push that. And we don't let the fact that we get bigger and the dollars get bigger on these things keep us from continuing to do that. So we still do the same things we were doing when I started, 12 years ago, and I think when Lisa was here 21 years ago now in our company. Fun's a very big deal. People still work hard? No doubt. We still have very high expectations for results? No doubt. But we still know how to have a lot of fun, Texas Roadhouse. So longer term, what we talk about in our company, in the United States, we're at 450 restaurants today. We think we can get to 700 to 800. I put people-driven there. We can find the real estate. We have the money. We could actually grow twice as fast as we do financially. But we could only find so many people that we would trust to run a Texas Roadhouse. And we're so busy, I kind of like it to like driving a Ferrari really fast all the time. You have over 100 employees. We have a lot of guests coming in. There's only so many people that we're going to say, yeah, we'll let you run one of these restaurants. So it's really more about the people and finding the right people to run these restaurants is the biggest thing that dictates how fast we grow or how fast we don't grow in our business. We have started up a few other concepts. So we had Aspen Creek, one here in Louisville. We ended up selling that to one of our franchisees, okay, who's opening another one over there by Oxmoor Mall. So you'll see more Aspen Creeks, but we decided to sell that. And we've opened a couple other concepts. One's called Bubba's 33, and it's somewhat of a sports bar, has 60-something televisions. The menu is centered around pizza, burgers, and beer. And we've got a handful open. It's got a great vibe. I'm sure one day it'll come to Louisville. I think Buffalo Wild Wings is really nervous right now. They keep coming to visit. That's what I hear. But Kent is very much involved in this. He's creating these things. He loves doing it, and we'll keep our fingers crossed on it. Still really small. Our growth is not going to come from Texas Roadhouse forever. We don't want to overbuild Texas Roadhouses. A lot of companies build too many of what they have. We don't want to do that. But we still want to have opportunities for growth for our people. When we're physically growing, your people get really energized because there's opportunities there, whether it's in the restaurants or whether it's in our support center. So we have Bubba's, and we also have a fast food place we've opened called Jaggers up in Indianapolis. That just opened a few weeks ago. It's just one. We'll see how that goes going forward. So one thing we like about starting something on our own, it's not very risky. We don't spend a lot of money to do these things, whereas if we bought somebody else, usually you're spending a lot of money. We get pitched stuff all the time from investment bankers who have all these great ideas of what we should buy and grow or turn around to those kind of things, and we're kind of like, no, okay, we'll go maybe the less risky route from a financial perspective. International. Now, international, we got in that game 5 or 6 years ago. We've got a dedicated, awesome team internationally. Our VP of International speaks 5 languages, American guy, and is on the road, all the time. We've got a very disciplined approach. You can see some of the cities and a Taiwanese flag we've got up there. But we've opened in Kuwait. We've opened in Dubai. One of our restaurants in Dubai is the highest volume restaurant in Texas Roadhouse in the entire world. And they don't sell alcohol because it's the Middle East, highest volume by a long shot in Dubai. We're in Saudi Arabia, believe it or not, also huge volume, Saudi Arabia. And we're going to continue to open throughout the Middle East. We've opened 2 restaurants in Taiwan. Down the road, we'll open in Canada, Mexico, probably Brazil at one point. Brazil is Outback's best international market, so I see us opening in Brazil, hopefully in a not too distant future. And then mainland China, I would think eventually at some point once we kind of figure out how we're doing in Taiwan. The Philippines is coming maybe this year, so we're starting to dip more than a few toes in the water. I think our timing might be really good. Fast foods had a great run. Y'all know a lot about Yum Brands and their success that they've had, which has been just phenomenal around the world, just incredible. And I think the rest of the world's ready for a little more casual dining in their future. So we're very, very excited about that. So that's our story on Texas Roadhouse. I appreciate you guys listening. I hope you enjoy the napkins. That's kind of what, the kind of instructions Kent gives me. That's what they look like, when I get them. From Kent, so I have to figure out what he's actually meaning or talking about. But I hope you enjoy the bracelets and the peanuts. And we're taking any questions or?
Got time for a few questions. Questions?
You alluded to it a little bit in your presentation, but could you tell us what effect the raising the minimum wage would do? Are you going to hire more employees or lay them off? That's one. And 2, what about the Affordable Health Care Act as far as the number of hours a person works, and what you have to pay for them?
Well, so minimum wage, we've been living in a ever-increasing minimum wage world for a long time. So there's already 25 states, roughly, that the minimum wage goes up every year. So it's been voted in their state, statutes. that the minimum wage goes up from some CPI index. And so we've been living in that world. And actually, a number of those states back in 2007, 2008 kind of took some big leaps in their minimum wage. And we didn't change anything. We didn't lay anybody off. We didn't fire anybody. We didn't change anybody's hours. We didn't change anything. Now, I say that, we're making money. So easy for me to say, because we are making money, we're profitable. We're not missing a bank payment or a rent payment or something like that. But we made a decision. Look, we're gonna stick with our model here, and we're gonna believe that we'll continue to win out in the end, and we feel like that's happening. So sometimes minimum wage going up is actually, in a perverted way, an advantage for us, because even though it costs us more in the short term, we know some of our competitors will do things for the short term, and they'll fire some people. They'll get rid of certain positions. And, we haven't done that and won't do that. Does that push you closer to automation on some things? It might. I think that's what happens sometimes. It depends how far the minimum wage goes. Nobody believes anybody's getting rich off of $7.25 an hour, right? But at some point, it may push some people close towards automation, but we haven't changed anything, and we've just kind of sucked it up and moved on. Healthcare, much the same. So healthcare for us, we actually started early on the healthcare piece, so we kind of got some toes in the water on that and started, and so now 30 hours and up, we tell our people, don't change anybody's hours below 30 hours if they're working more than 30 hours. Now, we have a lot of employees who work less than 30. We have a lot of folks that are going to school that work for us. They work for us because we're open at night mostly. We don't have many lunch shifts, but going to 30 hours, I mean, that's thousands of employees now for Texas Roadhouse that we're offering health care to. Many of those employees take it or want to pay for it or say they want to pay for it. Once it starts hitting their paycheck, sometimes they change their mind on it, quite honestly, because it's not free. There's still premiums, there's still deductibles in these programs, but we've told our people, we go like, hey, look, these employees live in our communities. We're not going to cut somebody's hours. So our employees go out and say, what a bunch of jerks these guys are. They're so cheap, they don't even want to, pay for our health care. And we're like, as I told you, compared to beef, it's like, it's not, it's nothing near that. Is it in the millions of dollars? It's in the millions of dollars, no question. But again, we're in it for the long term. We'd rather the government make up their mind and decide what they're going to do with the Affordable Care Act. Keep it, don't keep it, make it 40 hours, 35 hours, 30 hours, just make up your mind, minimum wage, just make up your mind. We like it when more of the states have the same minimum wage than not, because sometimes you have states right next to each other that have very different minimum wages, so you had employees moving back and forth, and it's kind of crazy. So we just make up your mind, and we'll deal with whatever it is and make it consistent. So that's kind of how we're dealing with it. Yeah.
Maybe just I'll ask one myself, and then we'll close. You've been a real success story here. What in our region, Louisville, Kentucky, whatever, do you think has really helped lead to your success, and what do you think we need to do better?
Wow. We've done fabulous throughout Kentucky, throughout Indiana. We've had great people who run our restaurants here. It's some of the best results we have in the country in these two states in particular. I don't know if there's one specific thing. Both states are friendly to business. We only have 8 stores in California. Okay, and California does have higher wage rates, but they also have higher prices. California, the stuff costs more there. It pays for some of that. But the litigiousness sometimes of certain places can make you be like, man, do I want to be there, because it's like 100% probability I'm going to have to deal with a bunch of lawsuits. Do I want to be there? And I think we feel that the Kentuckys, the Indianas are much more friendly towards business than maybe some other states where good intentions, but for us it's like, hey, we'd rather operate in other places. So I think that's one thing. It's no surprise we got 56 stores in Texas. It's a friendly environment to business, a strong economy. We like that. But Certainly, we feel that our menu is very appealing, just steaks and baked potatoes and salads to folks here as well. But I tell you, we do well everywhere. We're on Long Island now, doing great. We're in the middle of Boston, doing great. There's a lot of places where I think we feel very welcome. You know, and even California. I don't want to disrespect any Californians, you know, but we're doing well in California. We're going to build more stores there. But you know, there are some places where there's just more hurdles to cross, you know, to get a restaurant open. Permitting takes longer, whatever it is, and some places are a little bit easier. And you know, Kentucky and yeah, we opened in Pikeville, by the way. We're in Pikeville and Somerset, okay? And some of those are a little bit risky for us because they're pretty small towns, but they're also kind of regional centers for that part of the state, and we do great there. There's also no state competition, you know, so we can go some pretty small places. And also, people in those communities will be you can get permitting done really fast. It's great. You know, so you're like, yeah, I like being there. You know, so some of that helps too.
That's good.
So.
Well, you want to draw one ticket? We'll
Sure.
let everybody go. Okay.
There you go.
So we have a gift certificate, $50 gift certificate for Texas Roadhouse. The number is 883-284. Got a hand raised? 284. We didn't lose many folks. We'll try one more.
All right.
We'll hold it for next week. All right. Well, just one more. 883-321. No? Got one. All right. Thanks, Michael. Thank you all. See you next week.